That's WUSA TV Channel 9, Washington, D.C. The time now, 12 noon.
You're watching Channel 9 Eyewitness News at noon with Matt Lee, Beverly Burke, and meteorologist Topper Shutt.
Good afternoon, everybody, on this Wednesday, June 22nd, 1997. Here's what's happening on Eyewitness News at noon for this Wednesday afternoon. Top story at noon is the House voted overwhelmingly yesterday to reprimand House Speaker Newt Gingrich's order and forced him to pay an unprecedented $300,000 penalty, the first time in the House's 208-year history it has disciplined the Speaker for ethical wrongdoing. The ethics case for its resolution leaves Gingrich with little way for future personal controversies, House Republicans said. Exactly 1 month before yesterday's vote, Gingrich admitted that he brought discredit to the House and broke its rules for failing to ensure that financing for 2 projects would not violate the federal tax law and given the House Ethics Committee false information. Newt has done some things that have been embarrassed the House Republicans and embarrassed the House, said Representative Peter Huckster, Republican of Michigan. The voters have seen more than that. They will question on judgment. House Democrats are likely to continue to press over ethics charges against Gingrich, and Internal Revenue Service is looking into matters related to the case that came to an end yesterday. The 395-28 vote closes a tumultuous chapter to begin September 7, 1994, when former Representative Ben Jones, Democrat of Georgia, that ran against Gingrich, filed an ethics complaint against then GOP whip. The complaint took on a greater significance when the Republicans took control for the House for the first time in 4 decades, propelling Gingrich into the Speaker's chair, with so much at stake for each side. As the proclaimed revolutionary, Newt Gingrich has always stated and skated on the edge of political responsibility, even as he concedes what he finds it difficult to discern where the edge is. Shortly after winning the Speaker's job 2 years ago, he noted that his wife, Marianne, regularly warns him to go slow and be responsible. "I'm trying, but it's hard," Gingrich said in a speech at the time. "I mean, shucks, people didn't used to listen to even my good stuff." The Ethics Committee investigation has given outsiders access to stuff that Gingrich never intended to remain public. The committee released documents and drawings and Gingrich's own handwriting that paint a portrait of the Republican Speaker as an egocentric politician of secondary mission. Those notes also show that Gingrich knows the power of bad publicity to sabotage his crusade to dismantle the federal social programs that Michigan calls Reviewing American Civilization. Here. Democrat and National Committee officials announced yesterday that the party no longer will accept contributions from foreign nationals or the American subsidiaries out of foreign corporations. Will put $100,000 on all future soft money donations. The DNC actions are also designed to prevent the kinds of abuses that occurred during the 1996 campaign and have been meshed with controversy. It came as President Clinton sought to seize the initiative on the political charge that by urging the Republican-controlled Congress to pass campaign finance legislation as quickly as possible. Clinton once again threw his support beyond a bill by Senator John McCain, Republican of Arizona, and Russell Feingold, Democrat of Wisconsin, that would predict and restrict Political Action Committee (PAC's) ban on the large unregulated contributions to the political parties known as soft money and create voluntary spending limits for candidates. It is tough, it's balanced, it is credible, Clinton said in a speech to the DNC. It should become the law of the land. The president also warned that delay will mean the death of the reform. For months, Clinton and Vice President Gore have tried to distance themselves from the problems at the DNC, carefully distinguishing between the fundraising operation and their that of the re-election campaign. In a recent interview, Gore was asked to explain why he and the president made such a distinction when they appointed the committee's 2 top officials after a long pause. Gore responded to the DNC, said,
would be blizzard-like conditions. Now we have the
Santa Monica, California. A plaintiff's attorney yesterday to describe O.J. Simpson as a savage, remorseless murderer and chronic liar who left a trail of overwhelming and irrefutably physical evidence of his guilt. There's a kill in the courtroom. Standing sales to jurors during the measured but dramatic closing argument in the civil case against the football star, blaming Simpson for the 1994 murders of his ex-wife Nicole Brown System and her friend Ronald Goldman. Petroselli said the evidence, hair, fibers, gloves, clothing, blood, and shoe prints pointed at only one possible assailant. O.J. Simpson, who lied and lied and lied to you. Petroselli asked jurors to answer for themselves the question why were Simpson's blood, Nicole Simpson's blood, and Goldman's blood at the murder scene smeared in Simpson's Ford Bronco and splattered on socks on the floor at his home. With sarcasm in his voice, Petroselli mocked the defense connection that Simpson was somehow framed, that evidence was contaminated or planted, and that the shoes sewn in more than 30 photographs being worn by Simpson and that the experts say are the same as the killer were not his. What kind of man tells you that with a straight face? Petrocelli asked. What kind of man? He answered his own question. A guilty man, a man with no remorse. Petrocelli called the 30 photographs of Simpson wearing the unusual Bruno Magli's shoes one of the single most crucial pieces of evidence in this case. Evidence that was not presented in Simpson's criminal trial in which he was acquitted of double murders in 1995. Plaintiff lying from Simpson's former defense attorney Johnny L. Cochran, who told jurors in the criminal case that the bloody glove did not fit, they must acquit him. Here. President Clinton announced yesterday to reach out to the Republicans he has proposed a new funding cuts in Medicare. The giant health care program for the elderly that last year was one of the principal obstacles to the balanced budget agreement. The Medicare initiative drew strong praise on Capitol Hill from Republican leaders who said Clinton's flexibility will make more likely a bipartisan accord to eliminate the federal budget deficit at 2002. The former budget Clinton will propose February 6th administration officials said would include $138 billion in spending reductions over 6 years. Savings that come largely by reducing the amount of money the government pays hospitals, health care, maintenance organizations, home health agencies, skilled nursing homes, and to a lesser degree physicians who treat Medicare patients. Because Medicare is increasing far faster than any other federal program contained in its growth to its critical to achieving its overall goal of a balanced budget. Yet it is also one of the most popular federal programs, and politicians have made federal changes to it as its peril. Fact is, re-election campaign Clinton branded Republicans as extremists for their plans to scale back their soaring cost of Medicare, but the president's announcement yesterday came one day after that. The evening turned down about 12:45 a.m. yesterday, right after President Clinton waved goodbye at the crowd at the Mid-Atlantic Ball at the Omni Shore Hotel, and then exhausted guests ready to leave. 2 hours later, after the police were summoned to come to see ballgoers still waiting for their reps, the guests finally left, both clutching their coat. This is Jesse Durham, Lieutenant Claire Christensen collapsed on the table at the New York Star Balls. Their dates waiting in the coat line as the checker called a total nightmare. Or what looked like their coats. It was like a fleeting movie. Thousands of people converging in one place, said WASH-FM DJ Randy Martin. I was in line for an hour and a half until I decided I didn't really like my coat that much. Martin finally retrieved their rep after breakfast yesterday, just as Bill Clinton got back to the business meeting president. His historic inauguration ended with food memories, half-price souvenirs, crowded airports, lost cars that have been hurriedly told earlier in the day, Monday, and those long lines of angry ball guests trying to get their coats from Harriet Hotel employees. Despite some inaugural problems, most folks had a good time for Richard Ecstasy and Navajo in his first visit to Washington. The crowded morning when this weekend came, when he looked up at the Statue of Freedom atop the Capitol and realized that figure was wearing a headdress with flowing eagle plumage. When I saw the feathers really touched my feelings. The feathers are how the Native people are recognized by the Great Spirit. 57-year-old Ecstasy wore a cowboy hat and brilliant turquoise Indian coat when he flew home yesterday from Nashville Airport to many farms in Arizona. Here, parents who suspect their children are using drugs sooner will be able to use a government-approved home drug testing kit. The Food and Drug Administration yesterday gave the first approval to a drug test available without a prescription. A new kit, Dr. Brown's home drug testing system, tests for urine for the presence of marijuana, PCP, amphetamines, cocaine, heroin, codeine, and morphine. The new public product gives parents another opportunity to consider to help ensure that their children remain drug-free, said Tana E. Shalala, Secretary of the Human and Health Services Department, in a statement yesterday. Shalala noted that parents should talk with their children about drug abuse directly. The Clinton administration has zero tolerance for illicit drugs. Shalala said the approval comes 4 months after the FDA and Clinton administration came under fire in Congress over the agency's attempts to restrict the distribution of a similar product. The Dr. Brown in the test kit name is J. Theodore Brown, a clinical psychologist with a background in the treating substance abuse. Brown, who formerly formed the Silver Spring-based Personal Health and Hygiene Incorporated to market the project, said yesterday that he hoped to have the kits on the market within 6 weeks and expected to change around $30. Users should expect results from 1 to 3 days after the lab receives the sample. Brown said, "It's not like we invented an airplane or something, but I think it's a meaningful product. I think it's good for America." Privacy advocates, however, long said that the easy availability of a drug test kit could violate the rights of those who tested in schools and home. A federal judge will appoint a special monitor to report the district's progress in improving its management of several aspects of the $770 million Medicaid program. U.S. District Judge Gladys Kessler said the special service department are joining a list of judges, a long list who have become directly involved in the day-to-day operations of D.C. government. She is talking on one of the city's most complicated programs, which provides benefits to many of the poorest residents, especially children. The time for NFL promises to the class of needy children and adults who are covered by Medicaid is over. The judge wrote in a 3-page opinion was filed by Friday. To make sure that happens, the judge set several deadlines to the city to improve the tracking of people who are approved for and receive Medicaid. She forbade the city to terminate anyone's benefits without at least 2 months' notice, she said to the city, and must begin subsidy reimburse people who paid their medical bills while they were denied benefits improperly. Kessler said that the monitor will be asked to investigate whether the city should create an extensive tracking system to ensure that children on Medicaid get appropriate shots, checkups, and follow-ups for treatment. Kevin L. Milan, one of the attorneys for the Medicaid recipients, said she was pleased with the judge's order. I think it will be really important to make sure that the mandated improvements become part of the district's future operations, she said. Paul Offner, the district's healthcare finance commissioner, said he would not seen the order, would not comment. Charles F.C. Ruff, the district's corporation counsel, said his office will review the order and decide whether to appeal. In October, Kessler found that the Medicaid program was so poorly managed that it violated the constitutional rights of thousands of eligible recipients. She said that the city was withholding benefits from eligible recipients and its failures endangered the health of the city's most vulnerable people, especially Spanish-speaking children. In its latest order, Kessler rejected the arguments by a lawyer for the district who opposed the appointment of yet another court officer to monitor the city operations. Judges have appointed and received to run house and child welfare programs as well as the Medicaid and mental health service at a They also signed monitoring special masters to track the district's performance in corrections of mental health, mental retardation, and juvenile justice programs. Kessler said the monitor will be limited duties to little power, serving only as the advisor to her, keeping informed on our cities. This is a photo of Gregory Hall, is a father of a 12-year-old. Daryl Darian Hall was comforted about the land and reef of 44 and block of East Street South is where his son was detected last week. Daryl Lauer was found shot to death and 3 teenagers in charge of St. Lane. And Channel 9 Eyewitness News reporter Peter Wiggins has a report.
6. How about 3? 4. 4.5. 6. 5.
Okay, hold it. Let's try something new.
Okay, Mrs. Tucker, your dentures will be ready this Friday. You can do that? We do that. No way.
Yes, right.
No. Yes. No. Yes. Wow.
Aspen Dental is doing whatever it takes to give America a healthy mouth. Like on-site denture labs for dentures in days, not weeks. Call 1-800-ASPEN Dental because your mouth is our mission.
Well, okay.
If they stay rebranded.
Richmond, Virginia's top environmental officials defended their record on enforcing pollution laws before a panel of critical lawmakers today as the file continues yesterday from a screaming report by a watchdog agency that accused Governor George Allen's administration of calling them corporate polluters. In an often heated hearing, Department of Environmental Quality officials who also been under fire from federal regulators who alleged that under Allen, Republicans in the state has virtually suspended checks on water polluters. Said a dramatic reduction in pollution fines did not mean that standards were not being enforced. DEQ officials also fielded pointed questions about an internal memo written last month by a DEQ spokesman that outlined the strategy that press leaks and threatened levels to try to discredit criticism of the department. The memo's disclosure led to spokesman resignation this month. The Grayland from the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Natural Resources, whose 5 members are Democratic, took place on a day when the U.S. Supreme Court handed the Allen's administration another setback. The court let stand in a lower court ruling forcing Virginia to comply with federal clean air laws, risk losing hundreds of millions of dollars in transportation funds. DEQ Director Thomas L. Hopkins told about 40% of the benefits of the income tax cut proposed by Maryland Governor President Clinton would go to the wealthiest 10% of state taxpayers, according to fiscal analysts, likely to heighten legislature debate over the plan. The analysis by the General Assembly Department of Fiscal Service shows that Clinton's proposal to cut to the personal income tax rate by 10% would provide substantial more savings of higher income people than middle and lower income residents. In dollar terms, but wealthy benefits substantially more than other income classes, what Fiscal Service Director William S. Ratchford said about 40% of the savings would go to the Marylanders making at least $100,000 a year, about 10% of the population. Ratchford and his staff had provided the analysts in letters over the last month to state senators Christopher Van Hollen, Jr., Democrat of Montgomery, who planned to introduce a bill today that would direct more of the savings from income tax relief to middle-income families. Legislature said there is strong support in the Senate Van Hollen's approach, which would focus on accepting more income from taxation rather than reducing the tax rate. Similar plan emerged in the House of Delegates. House Republicans yesterday that they will introduce a measure to reduce income tax revenue by 6% by raising a personal something to $2,200 under both proposals. Virtually all workers would receive the same amount of savings. Low-income Marylanders, however, would save a larger percentage of their income than would be higher-income people. Clinton's plan, meanwhile, would reduce the tax rate, meaning a high-income earner would save more than dollars than would be a low-income earner. Currently, Maryland taxpayers can claim personal exemption for $1,200 for themselves and each member of their family. A family for offenses could claim $400 exempt by raising exemption. Maryland legislatures would permit taxpayers to shield more than their income from the state income tax. A new grading system that requires Fairfax County Middle School teachers to assess a wide range of student skills and give students less credit for completing homework for assignments has drawn skepticism from many teachers and parents in the Washington area's largest school system. Teachers say that the changes make their process of evaluating the students time consuming, and although the new policy was supposed to take effect 4 months ago, some still have not following it. Some parents worry about the approach plays on homework and gives teachers too much leeway in deciding final grades. Even some school board members are complaining about the new rules, saying that they could lower academic standards. Yesterday, in an effort to bolster support, the school system top administrator took to closed circuit TV in the usual life teleconference with the Kennedy 2000 middle school teachers, Superintendent Robert Plain, and others tried to clarify the changes and urge teachers to go along. They explained that the new system will give parents a more complete picture of how the children are doing in the school. They said that the intent is not to make homework less important, but they'll have fewer homework assignments that are ungraded. Administrators also announced that the teachers will have yet to implement some of the changes that will get a reprieve until next fall. At Everett Middle School in Springfield, two things came to mind when Kevin Tro walked out on Monday evening to where her car once sat at 19th and K Streets in downtown Washington. Her Ford Escort had been stolen or impounded. It turned out the little of both during the flurry of inaugural activities. DC police recorded hundreds of vehicles parked too close to the parade route and festival sites, including dozens of vehicles that were legally parked outside the restricted zones, but were hauled away at the last minute anyway. Adding the frustration for some motorists and computer systems that kept track to move cars crashed Monday night, leaving some motorists like Tetro stranded and unable to find their vehicles. And with
50 years in prison for defrauding customers as part
all the friends due for the night and the person money in the car, it made for a chilly long walk home to Rustling. Detroit said, "I was so mad at the police, but there was nothing I could do," said Detroit 25. Worked for Washington Trade Association. That was not how I planned to spend the evening. For the inaugural ceremony and parade Monday, police park and place parking and restrictions on dozens of streets surrounding the mall from the 23rd Street northwest to the 1st Street east of the Capitol. Any cars parked in the restriction area, police one would be told to a surrounding street and ticketed.
I saw the ambulance just coming up onto its side, skidding over down the road. It skidded about.
South Korea's president agreed to reconsider controversial new labor and security laws that have spurred economic equivalent strikes that in last month account for a base hamburger chain pulled its TV commercials featuring Chicago Bulls forward Dennis Brown, who kicked the camera and men last week. Fed Chairman Alan Greenspan said the economy is still vigorous with few signs of inflation. That means stable interest rates for now, investors and analysts said. Rival agendas in the Senate point to the balanced budget amendment fight but agreement on a number of issues. A company pleaded no contest of charges that it's conspired to make illegal campaign gifts to Mike Gaspey's brother. The Supreme Court asked the Justice Department for its views of its legality of issues in a diversity case. Lebanon is getting intense on the ambassadorial front as the White House tries to fill some big positions. Germany and the Czech Republic formally reconciled by burying an ethnic conflict from World War II. A rather long shun of Serbian nationalism is now White House director and suddenly has many friends. Britain and China traded warnings over Beijing's plan to curb civil liberties to Hong Kong. The Postal Service ran in battle with FedEx and UPS over its priority mail advertisements heating up.
Some people used a broom to just swing
Decisions, and filled up his bar and restaurants. There's just no time like the night time.
for the adults.
In business news, Norfolk Southern CSX and Conrail officials
And the wait times were actually
agreed to meet to resolve railroad merger battle. The nation USA plans to open a huge automotive superstore in Woodbridge, possibly by the end of the year. And Lockheed Martin 1996 profits rose to $1.3 billion on one-time gains on its lower acquisition.
Chief, though, spoke to us this morning and stressed a couple of things that are very important.
We substitute ingredients from a standard high-fat coffee cake recipe and learned a lot about baking. Think you know all you need to know about drinking beer? Take a trip and get a quick education. You can cook less than a perfect ingredient or a dish with more anticipated flavor. Stock market, Dow Jones Industrial Average closed about 680, 83.90, up 41.03. S&P 500 closed 72, up 602. And in sports tonight, the Capitals will be at the U.S. Arena taking on the New York Rangers here. The Orioles exchange salary figures with pitcher Mike Messina, and the sides aren't far apart. Packers defensive lineman Sean Jones has a lot on his mind. He prepares for Super Bowl 31, and after a miserable December, the Washington Capitals have started a New Year on the right foot. There.
Under heavy snow over a foot in some parts of the Northeast. 36 states
All right.
remain under Wind chill advisory.
Topper Shut will have the weather after this commercial break here on Eyewitness News. Stay tuned.
In Washington, D.C., told to stay home. But schools are open in the nation's
The Powerball grand prize for the Wednesday during 22nd round is $16 million. Pick up a free copy and handy how to play guide for tips on the games and other useful effects at many DC lottery agent locations. Trans broadcast live Wednesday and Saturday 10 to 9 p.m. on WBDC TV channel 50. Call 24-hour lock line at 202-678-3333 for the Powerball grand prize amount and winning the number of results for the games. On DC Lottery, get in on the excitement, dear.
covered New Jersey interstate flipping onto its side. A similar scene outside Boston where this truck jumped a guardrail plunging onto the road below.
A lot of people should have just stayed home today.
Air travel is no better. Nearly 5,000 flights delayed or...
Okay, now the weather now. Here now is Topper Shut. Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Our current conditions at noontime reports. It's 43 degrees on temperature right now in National Airport, 46 out in Dallas, 46 out in Fort Belvoir, 46 out in Andrews, 44 in Baltimore, and it's 37 in Baltimore Martin Airport here. Okay, let's take a look at our national weather outlook, and it shows a line of showers and thunderstorms on southeast Texas stretching down through Louisiana and Missouri, down from Tennessee, and the showers from Louisiana stretching down through
And the snow in the jackpot areas for
Alabama down through Eastern Kentucky and Tennessee, down through West Virginia, down through Pennsylvania, down through Indiana and Illinois and Michigan, while plain rain from
Brockton near that.
Ontario and upstate New York, down from northern New England and southern Quebec. Snow showers in northeastern Minnesota and
8.5, and it is
southern and northern Ontario and with some ice pelts in Quebec and New Brunswick. And snow showers from eastern portions of South Dakota down from Minnesota here. And meanwhile, a line of rain showers from western northern California stretching up into northern California, while some snow showers in the Sierra Mountains and stretching in Nevada down from southern Oregon and Idaho and western Utah, where some snow showers in Utah and some rain showers in southern Nevada down from western Utah here. High pressure centered off North Carolina and high pressure centered off New Mexico. And low pressure centered in northeast Wisconsin and down from southern Quebec here.
Got about the 60 miles per hour in Nantucket, Harwich over 50, Orleans, East Haven, Edgartown, all seem
Temperatures ranging from the 70s down in Texas and Florida, all the way straight to the zeros in North Dakota here.
Cape Cod, where you can see the visibility is still running a half a mile in Hyannis and under a mile in Nantucket.
Let's take a look at our forecast for today. For today, mostly cloudy skies with some showers. High will be about 47 to 54 degrees. Wind southwest about 12 to 22 miles per hour. Tonight, partly windy with lows in 37 to 44 degrees and wind west about 15 to 25 miles per hour. Thursday, partly sunny, windy and mild. High will be about 53 to 57 degrees. Wind west about 15 to 25 miles per hour. For the mountains from Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia, today mostly cloudy. Rain has it in the 45 to 50 degrees and low 35 degrees and wind southwest about 15 to 25 miles per hour. Thursday, partly sunny skies with highs 35 to 40 degrees. Wind west about 15 to 25 miles per hour. For the Maryland, Delaware beaches, increase of cloudiness today. Showers late mild. High about 50 to 55 degrees. Low about 30 to 43 degrees. Wind south about 15 to 25 miles per hour. Thursday, partly sunny skies high 50 to 55 degrees. Wind west about 50 to 25 miles per hour with surf 38 to 41. For Virginia today, increase of cloudy skies. Showers late, very mild. High 55 to 65 degrees. Low about 40 to 47 degrees. Wind south 15 to 25 miles per hour. Thursday, partly sunny skies, windy mild, highs about 55 to 60 miles per hour. Winds west about 15 to 25 miles per hour, high 55 to 60 degrees. Surf 41 to 44 degrees. Borden Upper Potomac River, today mostly cloudy with showers. Wind south to southwest about 12 to 22 knots. Lower Potomac and Chesapeake Bay, today increased clouds, showers, late winds south to southwest about 15 to 25 knots and waves 2 feet on the Lower Potomac and 2 to 3 feet on the Chesapeake Bay. And river stages, the National Weather Service forecast for the Potomac River stage at Little Falls to 3.6 inches to 3.6 feet this morning. This river stage will rise for the Thursday morning.
We'll have much more on this announcement for you.
And there's a 5-day forecast to be. Partly sunny, high about 56. Friday will be mostly sunny, high about 46, low about 36 degrees. Saturday, showers early, 48, 28, and Sunday, partly sunny, high about 36, low about 26 degrees.
Barriers like this with
And sun will set 5:18 p.m. Moon rises 4:48 p.m. Mercury sets about 3:24 p.m. Venus sets about 3:52 p.m. and Mars rises about 10:17 p.m. Jupiter sets about 5:03 p.m. and Saturn sets about 10:12 p.m. and Uranus sets about 5:24 p.m. Full moon January 23rd, last quarter moon January 31st, and new moon February 7th, and first quarter moon February 14th.
Alliance, we're in New York City.
Height Tide at Washington 7:19 p.m. and low tide 1:48 p.m.
Award for our coverage of the Boston Marathon bombing.
Air quality index yesterday's main 26 those on UV index is minimum. Higher UV index number the greater the need for eye skin protection eye index for the solar moon. And that's it for the weather. Here I'm Tupper Shut in the Eyewitness Weather Center here.
Well, we have a piece of history returns.
Coming up, the missing piece of art now coming back to Cambridge.
Okay.
Fully boxed subframe. It's built to face New England's toughest conditions.
When it comes to low fat bacon, there are no wheels to be found in the maid, nothing to go by. Nothing, nada, zin zilch. So forget all the stuff you read in cookbooks or seen on food packages, like how you could use applesauce as a fat substitute cake, so how you could reduce cholesterol by replacing each whole egg with 2 egg whites, or how you could cut sugar simply by cutting sugar, or how you should never use low-fat tub burger bacon. It's just not that simple. Bacon is a science. A chemical reactor that starts to mix both low-fat bacon is even more complex. It is the advanced course, and we took it. We baked the sour cream chocolate chip coffee cake about 23 times to see how low we could go. The idea was this: take a standard high-fat recipe, replace it with guilty ingredients, and see what happens. Just what you'd like to do at home. Well, that should make it 23 times. But instead of tapping the whole recipe, once we fiddle with what the ingredients have, we want to see the effect of each alteration. Of those recommended substitutions, we make mistakes, but that was part of the goal. Our goal was to reduce fat as calories as much as possible, but still end up with a moist and flavorful cake. And what we learned is, low-fat bacon is just a matter of replacing the naughty ingredients with their nutritional correct counterparts. Sometimes doing that causes nasty structural problems like a caved-in cake. And bacon, all the ingredients have a function when you change the amounts of property to them. There's no telling what can happen. So there's no wonder you can end up with a product you won't feed to your pet snake. They put a thing we can find out to make gradual whatever, then drastic change and realize that.
Take Pradaxa if you have abnormal bleeding or have had a heart valve replaced. Seek immediate medical care for unexpected signs of bleeding, like unusual bruising. Pradaxa may increase your bleeding risk if you're 75-year-old.
And find this recipe in your Washington Post. And that's going to be it for the Eyewitness News, the noon report for January 22nd, 1997 on a Wednesday. I'm Beverly Burke alongside Matt Lee and Tupper Shut. So you have a good day. Coming next on Television 9 will be The Young Wrestlers coming next on TV 9. Channel 9 now to news will be back at 4 p.m. for
Reducing the risk of stroke with Pradaxa.
3 hours of news from 4 to 7 p.m. Have a good day. See you tomorrow noon. Bye-bye for now. Yeah.